All right, welcome back to Thought Frenzy. I'm your host, Justin Starcher. I hardly need an introduction necessarily, but this guy could sure use an introduction. His name is Sebastion, and wait, what's your last name again?
Finegan.
Finegan. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, had a brain fart right there.
All good.
All right, welcome, and we're gonna talk. We have a bunch of different topics to dive into, but first off, how you doing today?
I'm doing really good today, actually. I'm excited to be here and a little anxious. Never really
It's
approached
perfectly normal.
perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens when you sit down on the podcast and you're like, well, shit, my
Yeah.
voice is going on the internet. I better sound interesting, but don't worry about a thing. I think the flow of the dialogue is going to work its magic on its own.
I like that.
We got this, man. And why don't you tell them about yourself? You say you're from Germany?
I am from Germany. Well, I was originally born in the United States in Tennessee, and things didn't work out between my parents, and I ended up with my mom, which is German, and when my dad was stationed there, they met, and howsoever, I ended up with my mom, and she went back to Germany, and I grew up there until I was 19, and I was in an apprenticeship for landscaping, which everything work related is really unionized. So like you go, you know what I mean, like a dual school, dual go to work. Like you're going 2 weeks to work, then you go in a week to school, then you're 2 weeks to work again. Like back and forth like
Is it
that.
like that for everyone in Germany?
For most trades, yeah. Even just working in a grocery store, they'll have some. There's some jobs that have like only 2 year, most are three, some are four, and
Okay.
there's some 3.5, some 2.5. But like it all depends on what it really is, and there's some oddballs that are 5 years or something, but it's really all unionized like that. And I was in an apprenticeship for landscaping, and I was in my second year, and I hurt my back, and I didn't know that it was just that I needed to work out really, because I just kind of was a little sloppy back then, and I just started. I didn't play sports or anything, and I just didn't do anything with my body, and I also probably had no muscle body really, and when I then start lifting heavy for work, I hurt my back, and that all fixed it later, some years with just starting to work out and doing little things like that.
Working out's really good. Anytime that I'm in a routine of working out, even if it doesn't last forever, I definitely feel a lot happier. You know what I mean? Like I used to want to work out a lot to try and like gain muscle, but I mean as time kind of carried on in my life situation, I didn't really care as much about getting muscle, but I just want to know that my blood's flowing well. I want that kind of energy to go into my brain,
Right.
and yeah.
Exercise is, I feel like, really like a lot of people approach it with a goal oriented mind, like in a way of like, oh, I want to get something out of it, like I want myself to look in whatever way is desired in that aspect. But I feel like exercise nonetheless should be always a part of someone's either weekly base, almost like it's not a necessity to exercise every day just to feel healthy and get your blood flow going, but occasional cold showers to shock your cardiovascular system and get it, what I mean, get it pumping into the areas like your toes sometimes that are not always well circulated. So like things like that help your circular system to actually work. So just like taking a little jog down the block, 20-30 feet. Just if you're doing something like that every night, that gets your blood flow going, and that's like,
Something, absolutely. I feel like this day and age, we're so like the way our life works. It doesn't account for all that. Like you don't. Most people aren't like on a daily basis needing to be moving around a whole lot and stuff. A lot of people have office jobs, and I feel like a lot of that energy that living like that comes with is kind of seeped into our society. You know, we see a lot of depression going on. I feel like if we all lived a bit more naturally, because our bodies evolved to feel the need to, go out and, whether we were hunting or gathering, we were moving around a lot. We were
right.
getting our exercise just by living and surviving.
I mean, we are just a part of this macroorganism as we are of this microorganism around us, and the organism we are ourselves. Like, if you know, like the fruit we eat, if you're eating local fruit, you're eating the microbiome from your direct environment. Like, it's just in the DNA of that particular fruit, or it's in there because it evolved in that direct environment as you are as well living in. So
Mm-hmm.
if you eat from the fruit locally can be within a 20-minute drive or your own personal garden, which I personally prefer, and I'm getting into that more. I own a little plot of forest basically, but I'm surgically taking some trees out to let sunlight in, and then planting my own trees, like fruit trees and nut trees, and trying to, because it's not for me now. I'm not going to have these fruits soon. I'm still going to be going and buying them basically,
Mm-hmm.
but it's soon I'll have my own supply of fruit that I just can go walk outside, grab it, and come back inside. And I feel like that would be a very an add-on for my nutritional value in my everyday life.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us into the topic of permaculture. So I understand that you are a very experienced person when it comes to permaculture. Um,
I would say a knowledgeable enthusiast.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely a valid labeling for your understanding of the
Right.
topic. Yeah, yeah. You tell me more about the kind of permaculture you have going on in your land. You talked a little bit about it already.
So I'm in a very clay dense, flatlanded spot. So I own land next to an old abandoned landfill that has been about abandoned since 2006, and that's when they actually got closed because they were burying gypsum, uh, like drywall and stuff like that, and that made the soil very acidic. So they had the EPA sued them, and they had to abate all that out of there, and um, that made the land very undesirable for all the region around. But me coming there 15 some years later, I looked at it and it's all lusciously growing, just invasive plants, and it was cheap to acquire. So I just got in there, and it's like I got a lot of rain runoff from the landfill hills that they created basically, but I want to use that runoff water to maybe water my garden, and I don't have to worry about water coming in. So permaculture came in there because there is rainwater harvesting techniques like swales, key lines, and for like my flat location, it's almost like it's hard to harness the rainwater when it's I mean, just basically not gonna flow at all because it's almost flat. So
Mm-hmm.
like I have to make like
Your
in
irrigation, yeah.
irrigations, but I don't want to have them just be thoughtlessly making incisions into the ground, and then 10 years later now it's in the way.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm trying to like map my way. I'm trying to follow the water is what I'm really trying to do.
Follow the water. Yeah, I mean that's some beautiful shit, really. I mean, it reminds me of how it's just funny, right? Because it's like as our society's evolved, we don't feel much of a need to do these things because it's all come more through easier methods like purchasing your food
Convenience.
at Walmart, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I mean, if you really look at it, if we weren't all trained to be so lazy through our modern lives, and it came more naturally to us to go about taking things upon our own free will to make food on our own land, I feel like living back then, or even living now like you do, is very similar to like playing like a farming video game. That's what it reminds
It
me
is
of.
almost like a sim because like there's this whole scheme out here that everything is a simulation, and it just might be. But it's like I'd rather make my own in a way, like where I can be uh in charge. Not it's not for actually like not for the power play or anything. It's just the word I'm using. But like in charge of what I'm doing with the soil I have. Like I can decide whether or not I'm gonna have a lot of apple trees around me as I continue through my own life.
Yeah.
Or if I want to have more raspberries or just abundance of it all. And so like, but I also have to, I'm climate bound. But there is people like Sepp Holzer that are very known in the permaculture world, howsoever, who are, it's like at 1,500 feet elevation above sea level, growing citrus trees
Mm-hmm.
in the Alps in Austria. And like, so there's people like that out there where I'm like, well, shit, I can do that in Ohio. Then if he's doing it out there,
Right.
there's a way to do it in Ohio, so like, but there's like, you have to you can't just plant something in the soil and expect that the soil is just going to provide. Like, a lot of these soils are depleted from deforestation that we've done for the last 300 years because the paper industry, and just yet alone all the lumber, because everything used to be built out of straight wood. So like all these forests, that the oak grove forests that were here naturally, like for example, in the local town here where we have there's a lot of old oak trees that are massive. You can't, four people can't even reach around it, and those are old growth trees. Like, and it used to be, but you could say littered through here with those, and they all cut them down for the wood. And all these 90 footers you see, they're 80, 90 years old. They're maybe 100 some, so they're maybe from the last century, but they're young trees. They're not even fully mature. If you go by if you look at actually like oak trees, for example, they mature around 80, 90 years is when they reach full maturity, but they don't stop growing then.
Mm-hmm.
They still continue. It's just, not measurable almost on a tape measure anymore is how much they grow. It's like, but
I think the oldest tree was like 5,000 years old or something
I
like
think
that.
so. It's an olive tree in Greek, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's a fire, and it still produces olives to this day.
That's insane, dude.
It didn't stop, didn't slow down or anything. Like, and I feel that's the beauty. Like, whoever planted that tree, you know what I mean? Like, we don't even know his name or his
Yeah.
lineage or his cousin or anything.
We just know what he left behind.
But the whole world knows of his olive tree.
Yeah, that's incredible. What do you think? You think these trees have some wisdom? What do you think
Yeah.
they're experiencing?
I'm not calling myself a tree hugger, but if I see a tree where I can't reach around, I'm hugging it. Like,
Yeah.
just because like I'm a try type of deal. But no, like I feel like they do have some wisdom, because like if you just sit there and look at it and admire it and try to conceptualize how long it has been there, what it all has stood around, been around, seeing, not, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just the courses of lives that happened around this one tree, and it just stood still, and did its own thing the entire time. But I feel like, not to get carried away on the big old growth trees, but they're not here no more. And indeed, we used to have that. So like, I feel like we should make, since all these trees around us are just basically put here by us, because we just, I mean, just are desirable. Oak wood was the desired wood, so we started growing oak. And a lot of the pine came from it's the same for the paper mill industry. Pine was used for that. And so like, a lot of these are not even native trees around this area. So like, it almost doesn't matter what you do. You can take them old trees down. Yeah, if you're cutting down an 80, 90-year-old tree on your property, and that's going to expose a lot of sunlight, so you should definitely, or let a lot of sunlight in, so you should definitely maybe like plan. So like, there's a thing in permaculture: when you buy a plot of land, you actually not like you're not supposed to, but you should just camp out there for a year and just watch how it changes through the seasons, how to watch the sun, where it wanders, where it's rises and sets. And same with the moon and things like that. You can just watch the moon at night too, like how it sets in different places. So does the sun. And if you watch along that, you can basically like cut a tree out that will in the springtime. If you have like a forest lot like I do, you can cut one tree out, and that's what I did 2 years ago. I cut one massive tree down, and it let so much sunlight in. All that area was overgrown by weeds this last year, but I cut all them weeds down and planted my own garden there, because it actually showed me that this was not just bare forest ground, it just didn't get the sunlight down there for actually smaller plants to grow.
Yeah, there's a lot you gotta take in consideration for
Yeah,
sure.
it's not just go out there and plant things, but like then again, don't be discouraged, because I didn't know nothing either, and I still don't know much. So like it's a go along, and I feel like that's what's the importance is to just actually go up and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like get up and like plant something. If you even if it's just a store bought plant, like if getting in the routine. But like I feel like it's important that if you plant something, yeah, flowers look beautiful. I agree. Like I'm all for pretty gardens and stuff like that, but I feel like a garden should serve you a purpose, and not just by the looks,
Mm-hmm.
but by like giving back to you. Like the work you put in physically coming back by in terms of fruit, and like just or vegetables, what I mean, the harvesting, what I mean. I feel like that should be a, if you're already planting flowers, why aren't you planting eggplant or corn, or what I
Yeah, you
mean,
might
like,
as well grow it all.
right, you might
Yeah.
as well grow it all. And
I feel like everyone should really get into doing this, because I feel like the more people that do it and the more the information is out there and the more normalized it becomes, the more it kind of seeps into the collective conscious. You know what I mean?
right,
Like the 100 monkeys theory. I don't know if you're familiar with that. They, on an island, on one side of this island, they taught a certain monkey how to open up a coconut using rocks. I think it was. At least I believe that was the method. Just going off of memory. Um, and the monkeys on the other side of the island had no communication with those monkeys. So even though they never interacted with those monkeys, the monkeys on the other side of the island started doing it too. So there's this layer of like, the more that something seeps into our culture, the more prevalent it's going to spread throughout on its own, even, you
right.
know? And yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that,
It's like when you
getting.
think of somebody, and then they think of you too, and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. It could work a lot like that. We don't know
right,
how this interdimensional paradigm that we live in really works. There's a
right.
lot of different energy streams that all work outside of our perception. And yeah, I feel like if we all work together to educate each other on these things and start doing it ourselves, I think that we could potentially have a much brighter future ahead of ourselves as a species. Because
Right.
as we were saying before, we don't live normal, healthy lives, and it feels good to move around and do stuff. And the benefit of long-term reward versus short-term dopamine rewards, it's unmatchable.
Right, like for like living a life that's dopamine rewarding is like you have a good night the night before, and then the next night is not so good, or the next morning is not so good. You just don't feel, you feel depleted in a way. You might have to
Mm-hmm.
drink a lot of water or something. And but with like serotonin, for example, like if you had a good day before, like at a fair or something, going out with your friends and family and just having a good time, you still feel good about that the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And um,
But you don't feel good about that TikTok you saw a few days ago. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you
Like,
might bring it up a few times to your friends, but in the end, it doesn't serve you really.
mm-hmm.
You saw something, it took your time. In my way, I don't condone personally to those, but I don't tell anybody to not use them or whatever. That's none
Mm-hmm.
of my business. But I agree, like those little short videos, they don't always, like, they just take your time up. I'll sit there and watch them on YouTube, and I actually went on YouTube to go look for something, and I sit there for 10 minutes
Yeah.
and watching these little videos, and they're entertaining and stuff, but in the end they don't really serve you, and there's a little dopamine ticks that you get, or little tips everywhere, and you walk through your life with this, getting dopamine from everywhere, and then you come home and finally settle down, you set your phone down, and you're just this is my life. I go work and I come home, and I feel like there should be more to it. Like, I'm excited. I come home. I get to go in the garden. And then I'm busy for hours just doing tinkering things. I'm not even checking my phone. None of that
Mm-hmm.
exists in that
And you're just in
like,
a flow like state while you do it,
yeah.
you know?
And I come up with new things that like get in my way. For example, like a lot will come arise like that when you do try to, what I mean, propagate your own land and the environment you're living in. That can go like communally. Like if more people do it, it will change the whole like market of where food is coming from. Because if you grow a garden and you plant 10 corn plants, and if you're not eating all that corn by the end of the season by yourself, like if like you're giving some corn cobs away because you just have it. And it's the same with any other vegetable. Like if you're growing green beans, you're gonna have baskets of green beans. You ain't making coleslaw every time and adding green beans. And so like it's like it adds this abundance to where you have excess. When you grow your own, you will have for other people. And then if you have zucchinis and I don't have squash, the yellow
And we trade
squash,
and barter.
and we're straight in
Yeah.
barter, and now we're both happy.
Which I think is much better than our universal currency
Right.
system. Yeah. Takes out a lot of the complications and inflation and all that.
And we used to have, like in Europe, I was gonna say we, but in Europe where I come from or grew up, we used to have bartering markets. You'd come there, you could the whole thing, going to the market with the cow and coming home with a goat and two chickens. That I don't know if that was the trade that they agreed on or not, but it was just what we would agree up on, like whatever would satisfy the other party. And what, I mean, obviously one party's asking or needing, and I mean, because they're coming to the table or whatever, because oh, I see the cow is for sale, I need a cow. I have, this. It might take me a day to come back, or bring it. Like a lot of people would bring the animals they're trying to get rid of. They bring them to town with them, so they, what I mean, because everybody would come in, and it would localize it again, because everybody would go live on their own land and have their own little paradise or whatever they're propagating and starting. And it just centers things, in my opinion, because it brings, like, if you have milk cows, now you have all this milk. If you have four of them, you got all these gallons of milk. You have the potential of getting something for that milk, so you go take the milk. There might also be a distributor that goes and bottles them so they can be sold in a store, but it's localized. Like, let's just say if we had 10 dairy farmers locally that all have like 5 dairy cows. I don't know if that's I'm not a dairy farmer by any means, but like just I know that 5 dairy cows will definitely produce, if you're talking for 1 or 2 people, a lot more milk than they can bargain for basically themselves or use, unless they're start making cheese and the byproducts that come with milk. But let's just say the raw milk processed and just for drinking purposes or whatever. And if you had a distributor locally that gives jobs to local people, basically, where they come in, they process the milk, they, I mean, they sterilize it or whatever they do with the milk. I think it's sterilizing or pasteurizing your pasteurized milk. So they, I mean, they would be also doing the process. They're local people, so they're pasteurizing the milk, and then would be bottled and sold at a store. And then the wife of the guy that is processing the milk is buying the gallon at the end of the day anyways,
Mm-hmm.
and takes it home again. So like it's all like comes full circle in a way, if we were to live a life like that, and we would take a lot of the corporate force that we have over us of having to go to a store, and then we go by what they have, not by what we could have.
Mm-hmm.
Because we could have a way larger palette of fruit and vegetables at all stores that I go to here in our local area. But they don't, because they buy it from somewhere far away, Mexico or wherever the distributor really, what I mean, wherever it really originally comes from. It's just one big farm. They sell a lot, and then it gets sold to distributors, and it's just all like coming from far away. It's cooled a long times. You don't really know how long it's been on the road or whatsoever, what it's been exposed to. Like, why does it have to go through all that just to end up on my table when I could grow my own raspberries and don't have to pay $4 or sometimes $6 a pack for a pack of raspberries?
Yeah,
Like,
fucking pack of raspberries
like
you could just grow in your backyard
yeah,
easily.
and you
And it'd be
you would,
healthier.
and if you grow them in your backyard, raspberries grow a fuck ton. Sorry, but like
Yeah.
they do. So like you having bowls of raspberries, you can't even eat all of them because your tummy will go, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
go not feel well about it afterwards. So like I don't understand how we all allow somebody to just, oh yeah, buy it from me, while it could very easily put a seed in the ground or put a little plant in the ground and wait a little bit, especially with perennials. They come back every year, like raspberry bushes or whatever, or blackberries, blueberries, all this, and they grow well here.
You're telling people about the infinite food glitch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an
infinite
infinite
food
food. Why
glitch.
buy food, dude?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, there
Like,
really isn't any point, you know? If you can manage to have a healthy diet off of things that you can grow in your backyard, just do it. And I know that I myself have not yet done it, yet I'm
and
telling
if you
people to
love
do it, but like
burgers,
I want to
dude,
do it, and
and
I
if you
see
love
myself doing it.
burgers, dude, like fat sloppy burger with some good cheese, it would be a lot better if it was all local too.
Yeah.
Imagine you having local beef, local Angus,
They
local
put so much
cheese.
shit in not only the beef, but also the cows they get the
Right.
beef from. And none of it's meant to go in our bodies. It's not good for us, you know? It's like they take so many good things that can go into our body and then just make them just awful for us just so they can produce more of it for more money. And we don't even have to give them our money. We can just, either support your local farm or have a farm yourself or just even just a garden. Even just a few little animals that can help you get some food. I got some chickens in the back and they're almost ready to start laying some eggs. And it's like, man, couldn't imagine going to fucking Walmart and buy more eggs because I know the
Right.
difference in the taste and how I feel after I eat it.
And it's crazy to think about, like, poultry farming is not even lucrative these days. It's really not. Like, you have to do it on a very, very large scale and, like, very controlled to actually have money. But that takes a large investment anyways. It's like, it's almost pointless to get into poultry in the term of, like, trying to, go to a grocery store and offer them your chicken because you don't have enough. And you would kill your whole flock trying to, you know what I
Right.
mean? So like there's like but it's so wrong that we have to have 80 chickens frozen in the ready to be put on the grill. If it was all local, we would figure out how many chickens we, monthly would consume as a community, and then we could control, there would be like we could take from all the poultry farmers that have smaller poultry farms or whatever, there could be somebody going around taking account on, like on those things, and then we could actually like start making statistics on how well it is to live and eat local, and how like you're giving so many job opportunities back to people. Yeah, they might be odd jobs. I mean, I don't think anybody has around here much gotten into how to pasteurize milk. You know what I mean? But like a lot of these farm jobs is what feed people. And like I feel like they're just so industrialized now and taken away from us in a way of that we're dependent on somebody else to bring it back to us. They took it away from us and then they turned around, packaged it, and now bring it back to us.
Mm-hmm.
But in another way of we have this grass growing in a yard and meanwhile, they got all these raspberries, probably GMO raspberries that produce way better. Because it's all made to produce a lot for us. It's not good fruit, probably. Like it tastes so much better coming out of the backyard. Like when you feed it good soil and give it good nutrition. Like how, like actually, like have a wholesome fruit that's not rushed through its fruiting cycle and taking the fruit early and then letting it ripe under some light, because that's what they do. They take it early and then they have light that it makes it produce the color. and then they let it sit under that light, and then it basically turns color under the light, and then they send the fruit out. Like with
It's
a
a
lot of
sham.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and not to mention, so many of these local food markets can hardly get off the ground because so many people are like, oh, well, I go to Walmart with my groceries every single time. I
Right.
don't think to go anywhere else. But, like, if we would all start being more mindful about where we're getting our food from and what the best options are, we'd all be wanting to support our local food markets. You know what I mean? I think that half the reason why we don't see as much of these local food markets and stuff around here is because so many of the consumer base has already been so programmed to just buy what's advertised.
Right. It's like the whole thing about the, like, what I noticed in my family's household, for example, like the whole doing dishes. So, because like it becomes this task that gets put on somebody's back every other day on doing the dishes, basically. So they a lot of times just go over and eat either from plastic plates, styrofoam plates, or paper plates. And lately it's been paper plates, which I personally just been liking that they do that. But I didn't say much when they were using plastic plates, but I was like, why use plastic
Yeah,
plates?
plastic and styrofoam, that's not
And they
good for
were
the
buying some
environment.
when the beginning they were buying the good plates, like the ones you could rinse off and use again, and you just threw them away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're just like this whole throwaway society, like it gets me,
Yeah, I
like
recycle here.
yeah, like recycling is one, but like just that things have they're not done in their purpose. Like there's always an alternative. A broken plate can easily be a water plate for a plant or something. Like
Hmm.
it might look shaggy, but what does it matter? It still has a purpose. You don't have to throw it away. Yeah, maybe not have so many materialistic things flying around to, or it might look shaggy, but then again, it doesn't matter if it some people find it comfortable to have like this shaggy backyard look, but if it serves you, you know what I mean. Like I feel like that should still like it, and it would bring you back home, center. Like come over to my house, hang out,
Yeah.
like because I got a cool backyard. Why? Because I got fruit growing back there. You
Yeah,
can
dude.
walk through it and just pick fruits, and nobody feel bad about it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And it didn't cost anybody anything.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
me to buy the plant at the beginning, but then I've already gotten my whatever investment out
Now you
of
never
it.
need to buy it again, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. We can really learn a thing or two from that sort of a concept, you know?
Right, yeah, there's a lot of they're all concepts of like lifestyles, way of living, like it's all the choice.
And they're such simple concepts, but we've been so wired to go for the more complicated supply and demand, work, make money, send in the money, get the things, and do it all the time, constantly, and work for it day in, day out.
I mean, realistically, if you would you go anywhere if it's put right in front of you in a convenient way for you to access? No, you know what I mean. But like if you know what I mean. But like we've gotten away now. We got to drive to the store. The milkman used to come to our house. You know what I
Yeah,
mean. I
man.
used to be a business. Like why does the milkman don't come anymore? Because they made
Milkman, where'd you go?
yeah, where
We
did
miss you.
we always miss the milkman. But no, like the whole now we go to the store because it's cheaper there, so it's worth it in our mind more to go to the store to buy it there. But then again, we're investing time and energy and also our gas or however you're moving yourself to the store.
Hmm.
Like you know what I mean, you're taking time out of your day to go somewhere and something you could have either if you were more centered in your area or whatever. And a lot of people always want to move away, and I feel like it's because of things like that. There is no locality, there is no culture to. And like I feel like a culture would evolve on its own because like people would get to know each other and you know what I mean, seeing each other at the market. So like everybody start knowing and getting to know each other, and this can be in a community of 15, 20, 30,000 people, because like if if it was localized, everybody would come there.
Yeah.
And you'd start seeing maybe on different weekdays, but you'd start seeing each other.
Right.
So like it would and if you then had trends and different ways of lifestyle, like more healthy living, and then also more like an availability for like odd crops. Like a lot of people would garden, I'm sure there would be some people that start getting into grains like quinoa, and start growing the different odd good grains.
Can I just say though, the vibes at a food market versus the vibes at a Walmart, unmatchable, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
unmatchable.
dude, I go to Walmart and it feels like everyone's just miserable and hates each other. Like, I don't know what it is. I'll
Yeah.
go there in a great mood and I'll walk in there smiling and I'll see everyone looking so depressed.
Like, why are you here if you're
Yeah.
so upset?
I'll ask someone a question and they'll be like acting like some terrifying thing is happening right now. It's like there's no sense of community, you know? But I mean, I feel like that could tell us something alone, the energy of the people who are going for this fresh food, the energy of the fresh food and the wholesome sense of community that comes with it. It's a different beast,
Right, and it's like you're ingesting sunlight in another way, like absorbing sunlight in a secondary way by harnessing the sunlight in your plants, and then eating the fruit that was produced from the sun energy. So like it's almost you're not letting anything go to waste anymore, because there's so much waste, and I don't understand it. Because if you actually start, everything still has a use. Even if you're in your own yard, if like a tree goes bad or died off, it's still a stick afterwards that you could use for something. Like it's
multi-purpose.
multi-purpose. You can always still wattle a fence where you can just make fence posts and then stick other sticks in between and make a
Yeah,
fence.
absolutely. And not to mention when you are mass producing just miles and miles of these products and you're putting shit into it to make it grow faster, and then you're digging it up and redoing it over and over again in these industrial corporations, how they do this. I remember, are you familiar with Sadhguru?
Is that guru?
Sadhguru, he's like one of the wisest voices of India, but he was saying on Joe Rogan's podcast that that the soil has been corrupted because they're not going about it in an ethical manner.
Yes.
Right? So as time goes on, less and less of the nutrients is going into the fruit. So I believe he said if you ate an orange today, it only carries like not even 10% of the nutrients of an orange if you grew it in your backyard.
And
So
I can see that. That's the microbiome that I was mentioning earlier. Like, if the microbiome is so important, if you have soil that has a luscious microbiome and a healthier rhizomorphic mycelium network growing through it, you will like step on the soil and it will be like kind of a little squishy and soft. Like it feels healthy just to be here. It will be probably dark or something. Like it just be healthy soil, and coming from that, all the fruit and plants will do a lot more better. They have a lot better foliage. They have insects that they attract, bird life and wildlife that they attract. So it's like you're bringing really like you're attracting seasonal birds. You know what I mean? It's
We
seasonal
need that soft, loamy soil, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. And that, I mean, the ecosystem just flourishes from there. And so does, I still can't get over the fact that an orange you grow in your backyard is 10 times more nutritious than when you buy at Walmart. Not to mention what they do after it's already grown,
Right, yeah, all the transporting and whatnot. Finally comes to you, and the farm it came from. They probably, all they do is harvest and harvest and harvest. So they never put probably much back to the soil, like in terms of organic matter to enriching the soil again. And the modern agriculture is like that. Tilling is. Show me one animal other than a pig that tills the land. but it doesn't till it right away after it's again. Like it just comes through. And
So pigs till the land? See, I didn't even know that.
like they with their snout is like almost like a little shovel. They'll shovel with their snout like into the ground because there's smelly
And they
things.
don't.
Smelly things under
They don't
their
even know they're doing it.
they don't. Yeah, they smell something and they want it because they have that never-ending need and want for food because they're almost a little bit bound by their instincts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like whether in comparison we have a choice. We can choose to live however we want to because we can choose to live and just have a normal lifestyle, how most people would label it, and go to work and come home, buy your food, and you live healthy or something, buy fruits and vegetables, and and then go home and watch your TV shows and relax or something.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so much more to it. Like our lives are probably like he was saying, the soil is corrupted. Our lives are corrupted. There could be such more nutritional value to our life in overall general, like not talking nutrition as, vitamins and talking like the intake on better things that we could consume, like if we surround ourselves with like gardening, we would invite people that are into gardening that maybe, show us different aspects of their life. There might be a guy into art, and we just start like things would just come together like that and just enriching your own lifestyle in so many aspects and facets basically, that like it would just, I feel like it just transfers from just having a nutritional garden to a nutritional life to like it's all like, I feel like that's what we all desire in a way, not speaking for everybody, but I feel like we all seek like better and more.
We all want what's best for ourselves.
Yes.
The ultimate key is to be happy and healthy. And a lot of people are just chasing money and material, and they're still miserable. They're thinking like, oh, maybe just a little bit more money, a little bit more material, and I won't be miserable. And then they get it, and they're like, oh, shit, I'm still miserable. Look at me.
Right, yeah.
I think we, and the worst part about it is that sort of way of thinking is pushed onto us by our media and whatever we mentally consume,
And our parents been brought up into
Yeah.
it, so they don't know any better. Most days, most parents, especially our generation. I'm 26, especially
Me too.
coming
Twins.
up this generation. I seen so many friends of mine that given their kids a phone at 2 years old, where I'm like, there is no way it needs that phone
know,
at 2 years
dude.
old. Like,
It sucks looking at babies and having them be on all these different iPads with the TV on,
it's
and
just so much dopamine at such young age, and that's how I look at it because it's proven now. It's statistically proven that a lot of these apps, like certain motion with your thumb, releases dopamine, like swiping with your thumb. They put that in most apps. If you look around, most apps have this swiping motion that it inspires you to use your thumb, and it releases dopamine when you do that, little bits at a time. And like, for example, all the videos slide next, you know what I mean? Like it's or slide up and down or whatever it is. You're using your thumb to move it, and it releases dopamine in your brain. And these kids are on it. Like if you take that phone away from them, watch. You know what I mean? Watch what happens. Like, they're going to be in a way different mood right after.
they're gonna be screaming.
Yeah.
They're gonna be throwing their bowl of Cheerios across the room.
If they have it, they might just be on their phone.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think it would be good for us all to raise our kids in a garden, I think I'd like to have a garden when I have kids and be like, hey, bud, come out with me. Let's water the tomatoes. And they'd be like, yeah. And I'll hype that up to be the cool dopamine thing. That, like, check this out. This thing's cooler than TikTok, dude.
Right, yeah. Maynard from Tool, the singer from Tool, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast as well, and he talked about the whole dopamine fixing, releasing on social medias, and he has many, like he has a wine orchard. I think he has like almost like a resort like thing there going on in Arizona where you can go be at the orchard, enjoy wine, but also stay there. Like it's very like broad what he's gotten into besides just the music he's produced. But
Mm-hmm.
he was mentioning that about the iPad and that with the kid, and they at first he didn't think of it much when he first just gave the iPad to his kid, but then he started noticing when he would take it that all hell would break loose in a
Mm-hmm.
way basically. So he's like, there has to be something has to be done, this can't just go on like this basically. So he started basically doing things with his daughter that basically gave her those same reactions in her brain basically that the iPad would give her basically. So
That's smart.
and then he like I think he got goats or something for her, and then like and then it went from the goats, it went to another thing, but he just went along with that because it just wasn't a device anymore, it was actual life experiences.
It's real life shit. Absolutely, man.
And I feel like we've gotten away from that a little bit. Like we feel like we're connected to the Wi-Fi, but we're really disconnected from where we came from, and like
Mm-hmm.
or we come from the soil, dust to dust, so like it's where we go back. We'll all rot, and even if we burned in ash, it'll go back to the soil and feed a tree some carbon. But I feel like we've lost a way there, like that's been taken away from all cultures, like this that we all are, from Earth, and then Earth has everything to offer that we need and want.
Yeah, and like, listen, like the kids growing up today, like even the comparison of our generation to our parents' generation, on average, the way we've grown up with technology, many of us, at least in worst case scenarios, or maybe best case scenarios, depending on you look at it. I can get on to another topic about this later, but we're literally, our brain works like a different species. Like we've literally become, I know Grimes, the girl that was with Elon Musk, was on Lex Friedman's podcast, and she said something really interesting. It's like we're no longer Homo sapiens, we're techno sapiens. And the way we think and the way we interact with the world is so utterly different. And, the majority of the way I think involves, I feel like we need to return back to our roots. But what do you think about the possibility of maybe, what if there is a future where we just get more and more and more dopamined up, but all the hard work is put in through artificial intelligence that takes care of us? Like all these dopamined up children that receive dopamine in a different, more healthier way, and we become this different species that is just as happy as our ancestors were working on cows and farms. Like, what do you think about the potential of maybe, as much as we see a bad thing, what if it's just a scary birth into a more next step to human evolution?
I have like my ifs and buts about that. I'll be like, in terms of that, making a metaphor of I'll be that guy that's not selling his land, and they're building a highway up right to his land, and then have a little dirt road go around it, and then the highway continues on the other side of it. I'll be that guy in terms of that, for the simple fact that it's like somebody's trying to serve me everything that I could ever imagine and want and need, and it would just all be at hand reach. And I just feel like I just feel like that would get old too.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the gardening might get old too, but then there's always something new to get into, and like gardening could just be something you come back to when you do other things in your life, and I feel like we should not get into that where we're taken care of by something automated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it does sound good, and you know what I mean, but like I've sat around and done nothing because I wanted to do nothing, and that got old. And you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I had everything I wanted. I could just go to the kitchen and grab it, like, but where like making a
I
lazy
guess
week or
more
something.
so. I guess more so. Something I like to look at when thinking of this concept is just we don't know what sort of way of life would be involved. We don't know. Like, let's say it's not a future where we're all addicted to TikTok, but rather a future where we're integrated with brain technology and we're exploring our minds in a way that's constantly fun while our bodies are kept alive by artificial intelligence. And I mean, like, the people, you know, every generation is going to look at the next like, oh, those darn kids and their automated horse wagons. I back in my day, I had a horse pull that vehicle around. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
So we, you know, what if we really are going into just a different way of life that somehow manages to balance itself out to be equally as healthy?
I just feel like, what are we gonna do with all our time? Like, and I get that like people are going, we're gonna like the probably like endeavor into fields of creative and arts and all that and philosophy maybe, and get more in depth into speaking on metaphysical things, because all the physical things are non-existent anymore because we don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, if everything is artificial and we're just sitting there and everything is served to us, all the fruit, and it's like, what do we do with all the hours in the day?
Mm-hmm.
What do we do? Like, what are we then actually doing? Like, everything is served to us, but I feel like it's just a big product scheme, like this one massive product. It's like, what if you could have everything at any given time, like an all-inclusive resort? You know, but you have
That's
to,
kind of how the Christians
but
depict heaven.
but what is the requirement to get in?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because right now it's not free.
Well, right now.
So like, what is the requirement? So like, my body's hooked up to a thing, so you're like sucking the energy from my body and keeping me alive and having my conscious play on a CD platform, whatever, you know what I mean, hard drive you got me on, you know, and just, what am I just like, oh, I have a new idea, I'm gonna just think of it and it comes to being because I'm in this automated reality. Like, but what is my body doing? Why am I disconnected from my body like that? Why can't I go jump around, go to a swing, or try to do backflips and fail at it? Why can't I do all those things anymore? Or try skateboarding or like, why can't I go, like, because my body's hooked up to this device now? So what are all these things that I may want to do that just came to mind? And I can't use my body anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if our body's just a part of a simulation, maybe there's next simulation we're supposed to go to or something. I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's just a big ascendance, and maybe I'm just fighting the trip.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like, maybe it is a big ascendance, and maybe we are just fighting the trip, you know?
And maybe we just need to sit still and let it all come in. But
Yeah. But at the same time, we're also here promoting permaculture and all this stuff. But also in the back of our minds, we're like, maybe this is where it's supposed to go. And
I feel like
it all just
permaculture
is.
is just another, like, permaculture, like, where it came from. Bill Mollison and David Holmgren wrote basically a book together. Well, it was David who wrote the book and then had Bill go over it for him. But they coined the term permaculture, but back then it was permanent agriculture, and then they put it together basically, but they took the agra out of the culture. Mm-hmm. And now it's just permaculture, but it means permanent culture. And so I just feel like that's a system, and it's a system-based way of moving forward and propagating your land. And there is talks on rewilding and coming back to our roots basically, but like, what would it all take for this modern society to come back to where we came from? Because like, if you look at Europeans, Romans took all their culture. Mm-hmm. Everything there was. There's no, like, we do have neo-pagans, modern, you know what I mean, people that basically acknowledge, you know what I mean, the old ways of living that were existent before Romans invaded the European continent, coming from, you know, Roman country Italy or whatever. And before all that, we had you know what I mean, those parts of the earth had a culture that is now almost non-existent anymore. And like, is there really a going back for those people? You know what I mean? So like, there are these, you know what I mean, is there really like a rewilding for those people? Like, because there is no knowledge on how they used to propagate the land, back in the day, what they grew, we don't know what they grew. We probably can find in some earth layer, if we dig it out, what, what plant and type they might have grown, but it's probably extinct, and it's like, so like we've lost a lot of our biodiversity from our modern way of living, and a lot of like, colonizing and culturing. So I feel like bringing everything back to the backyard, and it raises a lot of questions about what should I plant? What should I, do with my backyard? What should I put there? Am I getting chickens? Am I getting goats? Like, and the knowledge of when to use and what to use at what given time and scenario, all that's the knowledge that we're missing. That's what we're missing, is the on. Oh yeah, good. Goats are good for if you have like your portions of your land back here where it's like all briars and just overgrown by, shrubby plants. Goats will clear that out. They don't care whatsoever, and their teeth actually grinds up the seeds of those plants, and they dig out the roots too.
Just like how the pigs till with their nose, all these. It's kind of funny now. I'm looking at this from a new perspective. Like all these animals feel like they were almost carefully selected. Right. What we know now as farm animals.
So like the Native Americans of this land, since we're here in North America, they, they walked the land every day, going whatever places, they knew where a water source was or something. They probably were close to that, I would plant my village or whatever close to the water source so I don't have to carry buckets of water,
right?
But just
right.
That, yeah, you might have to carry your water, but then you can also collect rainwater. I don't know if they had things like that back then, but I'm sure you could probably funnel some rainwater with an animal hide, or I don't know what they did. I'm not gonna just make them sound primitive or anything, because I'm sure they were advanced in their own way, and that we eradicated their advancedness from our perspective, so we don't look at them as advanced, because they had it working out.
Yeah.
So but the going back to there's this knowledge barrier of like not knowing what to do, when to use, and all these animals have usages, and like it's just a coming back to and learning. And I feel like there should be more of a talk and conversation on these things, and there is, but it's just not known to everybody yet, and not everybody heard of it. And there's some people I asked if they even heard of permaculture before, and they're no, never heard of it, don't know what that is. And then I try to explain to them, but the term permanent agriculture or permanent culture, they're even more distant to those terminologies, because they don't even know how to define that or put it into perspective. So
we don't teach enough about that.
And I feel like that's where it's a big forgetting, a big amnesia that we're like trying to wake up from. And like maybe that we've already all been put into simulation, and we've been disconnected from our bodies, and maybe it's just we're awakening that somebody, disconnected us from who we could possibly be.
Absolutely. That was all very well said and very informational. And there's another topic I wanted to branch off into that you said you would have some input on, is clay structures. Now I want to start off saying I've seen that guy on YouTube who like makes things like whole houses out of clay in the wild.
Primitive technology.
Yeah, primitive technology, dude.
I love him.
Yeah, I love him too. He is like the representation of like real life Minecraft. You know what I mean?
Shout out to him. He has a forum where you can actually follow all his, because he doesn't do a voiceover on his, like he doesn't explain anything. It's all visual basically. He has a forum where he actually goes into and explains why, and so there is like a cool thing. You can still learn from him if you have questions. There's a forum.
Yeah, check that out. Primitive technology. Yeah, continue on your insight on this topic.
Cob is, for example, a way of altering clay. You take straw, which could also just be grass you cut down in your backyard and let dry in the sun for a day. It's a fibrous material you're adding to to the mud of clay that so cob is broken down. I think it's 30% sand, sometimes more depending on what you're doing. There's different applications. You can build with it to where it's holding weight, or you can just put it on the outside of the wall to where it's just looking pretty. You know, so like there's different applications. It's not just also looking pretty. It's clay structures are prevable. So what that means is that if there's heat building up into it, the structure, the mass is geothermal, absorbs the heat and basically cools the room back down. It's not like immediate, but it's a slower process over a course of a day maybe. But in the other way around, it also doesn't allow the inside room to heat up that well if the sun's baking on it, because the clay is absorbing the energy and just slowly heating up. And then at nighttime, it's discharging and heating up the room, because that's the easiest way to go. It's like this. It's a cold room on the inside, and the sun's heating it up, but it's trying to keep it cold. So, since it's the geothermal mass, it's like charging up like a battery, and then at nighttime it's cooler outside, but it's warmer inside, so it'll rather discharge into the room basically, so it gives off the temperature back to the room, which keeps it basically at 68 degrees all year round. And that can be in any climate almost. If you have a thick enough clay wall or cob wall structure, your insulation factor is so great, like that you can really save on heating and just all those things that make these new houses so expensive to live in. But further to get onto the clay and the cob, clay is just really super nice to work with because it has so many different applications. You can make pottery with it. You can go and make a plaster a place up. You can do clay flooring with it, which is you can walk barefoot on it, and it doesn't get wet anymore, because you basically finish it like a concrete floor. It's just clay, and it's just like people like to ground out by taking their shoes off and taking the rubber from underneath their feet off and actually connecting back. Like having a connection with the ground. And earthen floors, clay-based flooring can really allow that, and because it doesn't have that barrier of disconnect, like concrete, for example. Concrete is just a big stone block that it's like basically wearing a rubber underneath your foot.
Because we're disconnected from the energy of the earth. When we go outside barefoot, that energy of the earth comes to us, and that helps us feel recharged, and we don't realize that because we don't go out and do it enough.
Right.
But if clay
if you go outside and take your shoes off and your feet hurt, that means you wear your shoes too much. That means you got soft feet.
Yeah. I probably got soft feet. I need to do that more often.
I do too. I step on a little twig, I'm like, eh.
Yeah. But I see those like tribal people. Like I saw a documentary on tribal people. Dude, their feet are like bricks.
I know.
Like they are hard and tough, and they can just walk over thorns and spiky shit and not feel anything. It's like they're wearing shoes.
Right.
And the only reason our feet are soft is because they're sheltered within our shoes.
And I feel like that's the big thing of it all, is that we're just sheltered, like domesticated almost in a way. Human domestication over itself, like how we've changed as a species, like you were saying earlier, like I guess Elon Musk ex-wife, I believe you were saying.
Yeah, Grimes.
Yeah, she said that that we're like not Homo sapiens anymore, and like I feel like it's really like we've changed so much in like how we've, like you were saying, we've gotten everything that it's like hard to come back to using even building materials like clay, because it's like everything around us is built. We don't think of like, oh, I could just buy a plot of land, and if I have clay local, I could easily make a cob house, and it actually has a way better insulation factor than the house I'm renting, in which I have to pay the gas, the electric, the water, and it just, feeling like coming back and wearing off the topic of clay structures, but I feel like they just allow you more of a home that has a better insulation factor. It doesn't require much to heat or cool. The air is better in there because the walls are porous, so you'll never have like high levels of oxygen because it can actually weep through the walls, so like everything is still exchanging even if the windows are closed. So like all those, that's also is making it less approachable for mold and mildew. So which pollutes your air, and then we have these recycled air units for heating and cooling that just cycle the air through, and then it passes through a filter to filter the mold and mildew out. But the thing is, if you have a filter that has it on it, at one point the filter will fail and it will start spreading it, and then now you're pumping moldy air around your system, and a lot of AC units are moldy because they're always moist, so like
we need to move back to clay. Clay just sounds more efficient than everything we're using for building houses
and
entirely.
And here in Ohio we got lots of it. We're where the old glacier used to come down here, and we're basically all sedimentatious, soil-based and stone-based grounds, basically. Like, it's just all like fine, gritty soil, basically, and fine clays, you know what I mean? So like we have an abundance of clay here. I don't see why we're, not approaching that more here in Ohio. There's a lot of earthen-based clay structures in the western hemisphere of the United States. But I feel like here in Ohio, where like it could really revolutionize the way that people are living out here, because everybody wants to move to a beach almost, just because it seems so much more approachable to live. Oh, it's the sunlight. But if you make it your own out here, it will just be just as how would you say it? It gives back just as much as if you were to be able to go to the beach at night and go, enjoy that. It's just as satisfying in the end if you have that.
Same level of satisfaction, yeah.
Right, because I feel like that's what all we just look for, is to be satisfied in life. And I feel like it's all put in our minds that we have to be rich to be satisfied. But I feel like it's such a disconnect that you're still going to be forced to chase the money then, so you're still sort of a slave then to something. It's a play, It's
real wealth comes in many forms,
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like wealth should be more centered on what you can make and have in your life. And
lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. And if your lifestyle is abundant in a way of like giving you, your food, and like, which can invite people over, you can give back to people, you're not just like,
you're just as good off as Jeff Bezos at that point.
Yeah, you're not dependent on nobody, and you're not codependent anymore, which you are when you go to the grocery store.
Right. You just get to enjoy your life, really appreciate the moment, have the freedom to not have to worry about shit. You know what I mean? That's the goal.
Right.
That's really the goal. The goal to be like, yeah, fuck that. I don't need to do that. I got everything I need right here on my land. I'm happy. I'm healthy. And if you can appreciate that and learn not to desire things outside of that, which are incredibly unnecessary, then there you go. You won the game of life. That's life. That's all it was meant to be,
Maybe there's more, but it's all the further exploration down the road. But why shouldn't we have our own security of food and like energy that funnels into our life? It may be through the what we eat every day, but like I just feel like our social circles are not the same as they used to be, because you used to be able to meet up at a local place or something with all your friends, and like people still do that. It's not like gone, but like it's
community is so important.
Yeah,
it really is so important. Like if I ever was rich, what I would want to do is preferably if I was rich off this, so I could just do this like once a week, every other week, and then the rest is free time. What I would do with all that free time is I would go to an improv class. I go back to jujitsu classes and just go to different like classes and clubs, maybe like join a chess club, like things that I like, things I enjoy, where I can meet other people who like and enjoy the same things that we can connect on and have these different senses of communities, you know, because community is really key. If you feel like you're a part of a community, you really feel like just good about yourself.
You have value in
you
your
have
life.
value. There's value in your life. You're making human connections. You're doing things you love, and that's really it. That's all I would do with my money. You know.
Yeah, I don't think I would go spend it anymore because there's nothing out there really nowadays that I desire that has a price tag on it.
And that's enlightenment. That's a good part of enlightenment, at least. You know, that's a pillar of it. Just not feeling the need, like to not to be feeling negative emotions from that you don't have. If you don't have things and you don't care that you don't have them, then you have everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That's well said.
Yeah, man. Real shit, bro. All right. Well, we are about an hour and 10 minutes in. Is there any other closing concepts you wanted to go over?
I just would like to. I think it's more right now. All we're in the time we're in and everything. It's all really just educational. Like I just would like people to know more of it. That you have different options. You can change your life. Even if you live in an urban lifestyle where you live in an apartment, you can have window plants and things of such. I actually had a grape plant that was producing grapes in my window of my apartment for a while there.
That's cool.
It was not many, but like I still was excited of the fruit I was harvesting. You know? So and it cycles your air better. So you have plants that produce and use carbon monoxide and produce oxygen. You know what I mean? So you're purifying your own air by doing it. There is ways of, you know what I mean, getting back to what we can all do. And I feel like we should be more aware of that we have choices and that it all is a choice, whether or not we want to or want to do something or not to do something. It's up to you and nobody can take that from you. And I feel like there's this almost like a brainwashing a little bit that for a lot of people that you don't have choices. You're almost like bound, or you might not know that you have choices because you're unaware of that there is alternatives that might just be just as rewarding for you as other things in life.
We gotta start thinking more outside the box we've been placed in.
Yeah, think outside the box, man. Jump out of it.
Yeah, just
it's nice out here.
It's hella nice out here, man. Fuck yeah.
Come out and play, bro.
Yeah, just fucking. It's really crazy, man. There's so many ways to go about living, you know?
Right.
And I feel like that's something this podcast episode is heavily emphasized on.
My friend Sal, who was on here at the podcast as well, he just said something today about cop parties. And I was like, what is that? And he's like, he asked me, have you ever heard of cop parties? I was like, no, what's that? And he's like, it's like a dance party where you mix the cob on the ground and you just dance to music, and then by the time the party is over and everybody's done dancing, the cob is mixed. And then, you know what I mean, the next day...
Wait, you mean cob?
Yeah, cob. Like
I thought you were saying cop.
Oh,
like a cop party.
No, a cob. Cob with B.
Gotcha.
The clay product cob.
Nice.
And they would have a cob party. I'm saying it again. It's my accent. I'm from Germany. I apologize.
It happens, man. I'm sure.
Happens all the time. But it's cool. But no, so like they would mix the clay by dancing and listening to music and just moving around, and then all the work got done by everybody, but everybody had a good time while doing it, so nobody actually felt depleted like they did the hard work of mixing the cob.
Hell yeah.
So, and there's like communal value with that, and I feel like things like that should, you know what I mean, be a thing.
You can make these things even more fun.
Right, yeah. Make
exactly.
it fun. Like, let's get together and have some fun while doing some stuff that helps everybody.
Get yourself a community. Get yourself a way of life. Have the community indulge in your way of life with you. Make it fun. Yeah, dude, life is really beautiful. We've lost touch with that, man.
I feel so, yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm sure everyone's really enjoyed listening to us speak, and especially listening to your beautiful German accent.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you to Sal for connecting us.
Yeah, thank you very much. So
yeah, it's been some real shit out here, dog. All right.
It's just a way of having to get out here and network around and find out who might know.
Absolutely. That's what I've been loving about podcasting is networking and people just putting me in contact with people who have, beautiful things to say. And it's some really cool shit, man. I'm enjoying the ride so far.
Because I just feel like the connectivity to everybody else that might have been here already.
Yeah, exactly.
Or might come here.
Hell yeah.
I was there. Cool that you were there too, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, cool. Man. I'll have to have like a big ass party around my birthday or something. I feel like everyone I've had a podcast with so far is like a friend, I love having friends,
You spend time together and actually kind of like go beyond the like, oh, we just know each other. We actually spend some time,
Yeah, exactly. That's beautiful. Sitting down and having an hour-long conversation with someone, you get to know them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you do.
It's cool. It's really cool. But, yeah, I think that wraps up this podcast. Go ahead and like, follow, subscribe, depending on the platform. Also got a Patreon. If any of you absolutely beautiful angels out there feel like donating even just $1, it's patreon.com/thoughtfrenzy. And thank you for all the support. You can as much as we talk shit on TikTok, I do have a TikTok too. If you want to look it up, it's Thought Frenzy. That's a great way of cycling in people to it as well.
All those platforms have usage. Everything is a tool. You just have to be knowing when to use the tool,
right,
and when to put it back down, when to use another tool.
Exactly, straight up. Well said. That's how I see it. All right. Well, I said everything out there. And adios. Have a beautiful night. Have some good dreams.
Sayonara, everybody.
Bye-bye.